This is Stephen from BGcast.
And this is Diana from Transcending Ascension.
And
this is Esoteric Caravan.
Well, guys, we hope you enjoyed our last episode on what defiles you. This time we are coming in with something that's actually very special to both Diana. And we have spent a lot of time trying to deeply understand this metaphysical and hermetic principle, the Law of Correspondence. So Diana, why don't you kick us off? Why is this a very important hermetic principle that we should all be learning to understand on a deeper level?
Well, I think all of the hermetic laws are equally as important to understand. In fact, I would say the all is mind is the most important one. But the reason why we're doing the Law of Correspondence today is because I find it's the most convoluted one to really understand in a pliable way that you can see in your own life. Because as above, so below, how can we really verify that? Well, we can when we go into the concept of as within, so without, because they are exact same thing. When you understand the concepts of no time and space, you can really begin to understand as above, so below, as within, so without. And then when you see that play out into your life, which is what we want to get into today, we want to describe to you the ways you could see this in your life and how you could see it play out in just a real, like, we want a magic life, guys, but at the same time it has to also quote unquote be real life so that we believe it, because the all is mind, but we have to believe it to see it. So we're going to try to present it to you in ways that you can believe and see it.
Well, one of the things I have always talked about on my show, and I know we've both talked about it here a couple times on Esoteric Caravan, is viewing your existence through the symbolic lens. And over time, I've found better ways to describe this to everybody, and we're going to dish out some of those descriptions today, and hopefully this will help you along your evolution of understanding the law of correspondence. So let's go through the law itself first. Let's talk about it. So we have as above, so below. And if we go the traditional hermetic way, as below, so above. But then we have as within, so without. And then we have as the universe, so the soul.
And we say as the left, so the right. Like, it goes every way you slice it.
Absolutely, absolutely. So what does this mean? Because we see this. Especially when we start off on our spiritual evolution and we find the hermetic principles, which a lot of us have. We talked about the hermetic principles here before and how both Diana and I believe that these are a solid foundation for everybody when it comes to understanding and navigating this current realm that we're in. But one of the biggest things I can say to everybody to help with this description is begin to look at your life metaphorically and figuratively. All right, and this is one of the best things I can give to everybody to begin to understand what the law of correspondence is, because one of the things as humans is we're trained to look at everything literally. And while yes, there are literal things are literal, but things are also metaphorical and figurative. So this would be the first step, at least in my eyes, when it comes to how the movement in the heavens, these celestial bodies, have a correspondence with the conscious energy here on this planet. So that would be a good representation of as above, so below. That can kind of help. So we all know when Mercury goes into retrograde, right? It's kind of the joke of the spiritual community. Don't do anything when Mercury is in retrograde. Don't sign any contracts. Don't start anything new when Mercury is in retrograde, because that's the energy of Mercury. So we know that Mercury is a trickster energy, right? So when it moves into that retrograde fashion, it starts going in that opposite direction, the trickster energy becomes full throttle. And that's what we start to feel and we start to experience here in our own conscious, subjective, and also our collective experience here. So this would be a good way to kind of describe one of the first principles of correspondence. Diana, do you want to chime in on that?
Yeah, absolutely, because astrology absolutely is an as above, so below literal translation, because what happens in the stars above equals differently in each of us depending on our personal astrology, but it will come through and hit us all in its own unique wave, because we are our own unique algorithm, and that as above comes below and hits us each in our own unique algorithm, and that's how it plays out for us, because the above waves will come through us And what they do affects us, and what we do affects them. So by knowing this, and by knowing the all is mind, that means we can change the stars with our mind. I know that's a little harder to wrap your head around, and you don't really need to wrap your head around it. By changing yourself, you'll change the stars. You'll never notice, God's that sneaky, but you absolutely will. So you're never ever locked in by your astrology. Nothing, in fact, at all locks you in, except the sex you're born into in your body. The location you're born into created that astrology, so that is in a form locked in. But your astrology is enormous, absolutely enormous, and it is not by any means determinism. God wants you to shape the stars, so that's not a problem. But like any container, even if you can mold it, you're going to feel it, right? You're going to feel it. And then so we don't really see the lower realms. So to give you an example of the lower realms, one thing we can look at is Earth itself. Now, we all know we were supposed to, well, I don't know if you all know this, but I know this. We were supposed to actually receive a lot of catastrophes. Your Gen Xers or boomers that went through the spiritual age in the 80s and the 90s can confirm. There was endless channelers talking about destruction that was to come in the late 90s, early 2000s, and then all through now. We should pretty much already be in an apocalypse-like situation, but we're not. Why are we not? Because, believe it or not, more or less, we actually did all right. We actually held ourselves sturdy enough that the below consequences, which would have been earthquakes, volcanoes, and temperature changes, have actually not happened despite the narratives. There has been some earthquake and seismic activity, but not actually too much more than normal. There has been more than normal, don't get me wrong. Some of it has come to pass, but not really for the West like it was supposed to. The West has actually kept themselves clean, and that seems pretty obvious. We are newer nations, and we are clean. We are a cleaner nation, especially in Canada. The cleaner your nation, the cleaner your vibrations. And that just means that we're brand new countries where a lot of wars haven't happened on yet, versus the countries where you do see this seismic activity. They generally have a more discombobulated population on top of them. And that's why, because as above, so below. And in this situation, we're the above.
Absolutely. And the other thing I want to bring up when it comes to as above, so below, and I've been using this to kind of part the way of the old spirituality to give face and value to the new spiritual concepts that are emerging right now, is as above, so below shows that the spiritual and the physical realms are not separate. Okay? The physical realm is a shadow of the spiritual realm. Any physical manifestation that we see before us has a spiritual process behind it. And so this is one of the things that I like to do to kind of come, because we look, a lot of us are still looking at this very old spiritual escapist information, right? Where it's like, oh, the spiritual and the physical are separate.
The all is Maya.
Yeah, the all is Maya, things like that.
To a point, yes, but when the all is Maya, shouldn't you take a little bit of it seriously?
Absolutely. So this is one thing too, we can help begin to understand, the spiritual processes behind physical manifestations, understanding that this physical realm is a shadow of the pleroma itself. Okay, these are lower condensed vibratory waveforms that we are experiencing here in this quote-unquote physical realm that all have an origin in the higher spiritual realm. So this is where I feel one of the most important parts of As Above, So Below comes into play, is with this right here, because this will help us begin to understand and master our reality at a much deeper level, when we stop viewing the spiritual and the physical as separate. They are just two sides of this same coin. So that's just something I wanted to throw in there. And this is good examples of this. So we look at these altered states that we go into, whether it be through meditation, whether it be through psychedelic or shamanic experiences. We look at this too. All right, we have physical representations of these spiritual states, these neurotransmitters that start to increase in concentrations in our brains, or these hormones, as Diana would say, that begin to have different fluctuations and concentrations in our brains. So these are the physical manifestations of these of these spiritual processes that we undergo. So that's just something I wanted to throw in right there. And one of my favorites, honestly, especially when it comes to the law of correspondence, and this is something I've talked about on my show a lot, is as within, so without. And you know how our internal reality is going to mirror in to our external perceived experience and vice versa. There is a reciprocating correspondence between that. And actually, Diana, you want to talk about the feng shui thing and the exoteric. I've talked about how when we fix things on the inside, it can correct things on our outside. So why don't you talk about how the reciprocating effect from that, the corresponding on how if we fix something on the outside, it can fix something on our inside.
Absolutely, absolutely. First, let's take it back a step and look. The first law of the universe is the all is mind. That's my favorite. It's the one I like to talk about the most because it matters the most, right? The all is mind, of course. That all is mind, the only thing that exists, first starts printing everything all at once. So there's only the first. There's only the first. There's only that one moment where everything comes out all at once, all potentiality, all of existence. So that means all the layers of reality, that's why there's no difference. They're all one and the same, printed out, layered over top of each other. There's no time and space. Now to understand that matters. You get that through your head of no time and space because it's an actual cognitive dissonance thing that you need to feel kind of sick over to truly understand it, just at first. And then you kind of go into sort of a gnosis of understanding, no time and space. So this is why you can get, oh, Maya, everything's illusion, nothing's real. Sure, I guess, if that's how you want to live your entire existence, never sticking your feet in and actually participating in creation as God intended you to, by all means, the all is Maya. But if you would rather be a conscious creator of your own reality and perhaps help the world out a little, then you want to look at the layers and the realms. All is one, all is you, right? And that goes into the anthropic principle. You are God, all is you, you are everything. Okay, so now let's take that exoterically. So you can work on the inside, that's great, let's heal the inside. Let's say you don't know how to do that. Let's say you're stuck. Let's say you've done as much as you can do on the inside and you don't know what to do. Okay, let's go Jordan Peterson, clean your room, right? Clean your room. And Carl Jung would agree, Teresa of Avila agree, and Caroline Myss would agree, all because they're looking at that same philosophy that inside your internal being, there is rooms and rooms and rooms making mansions inside your internal being. And they match every layer of every realm that could ever exist.
And this is just, I want to chime in and say, this is viewing your world through a symbolic lens. Exactly what Diana is saying right now. The room of your home. What is your home? The temple of your body, your mind. Continue, Diana. I just want to add that.
Absolutely, absolutely. So this is why, if you wanted to do it exoterically, you could just clean your room, Jordan Peterson style, or you could do it from a spiritual foundation, and that's learn feng shui. It is a humongous platform to learn, and to do it perfectly, it actually works from an astrological basis as well. It's called like the Bagua or something. And you do your chart, and there's specifications specifically for you, literally down to where you put your garbage can in your room. You have a good day or a bad day, depending on where your garbage is in your room, where you put the flowers, where you put this, where you put that. If you want to go to that level of OCD, by all means, have that, because the Asians fully believe this is what keeps their spirits clean. And for a very long time, this kept their culture amazing. For thousands of years, they had a glorious culture. And at the root of it, the reason why was their clean spirits going through this route of feng shui for your exoteric perfection. So I would seek feng shui as your way to teach you how to do that. Truly, you're just cleaning. But what you're doing when you're cleaning through the way of feng shui, you're cleaning for the spirit. So you're not cleaning so your neighbor thinks you're cool. You're not making your house look nice so everyone thinks you're awesome. You are making your house perfection because it is representation of the all that is the mind, that is you. So what you do on the outside is to have an internal representation. That's why if you do it through feng shui, do it learned through the spirit, just like yoga and how the Indians have tried and true perfected it over thousands of years, so too have the Asians perfected feng shui through their thousands of years of practice and learning and just updating and keeping it going. The feng shui system has never died. It is alive and well and saves people's lives. There's a show on Netflix if you want to get started. It's not necessarily feng shui, and I can't remember what it's called, but it's this adorable little Japanese girl. She's got a translator with her. Most people have heard of it. She hugs stuff. When she has to throw stuff out, she's the girl that hugs it, says, oh, thank you for all you've done, and then she throws it out. how she taught me that, like that way of saying goodbye to old stuff but releasing the energy, like that does so much. Like if you want to throw out a bunch of stuff and you feel like throwing up after, it's because you didn't let it go right. She will teach you how to let it go right. It's just on Netflix too. And you just hug it, say thank you for all you've done for me, goodbye, and donate it or throw it out if you have to. But like there's so many things you can do to perfect your exoteric that will internally clarify your spirit and allow your soul to settle and integrate more inside your body. So by perfecting the outside, as within, so without.
Absolutely, that was really well put, Diana. Also, too, one of the biggest things we can see with as within, so without, too, is that the battles that we face within us are also playing out on a fourth dimensional level, and we could see them manifest outwardly into our perceived physical experience when we start to look through our world through that symbolic lens. So for instance, like let's say you are at war with yourself on something, you are in a fight with yourself on something, right? Whether it be a change you're trying to make, whether it's a certain hurdle in your life you're trying to overcome. We all have these internal struggles within us that we face in our conscious evolution. What you will begin to see is it will outwardly manifest in a symbolic way on your physical stage, whether all you're seeing on TV are battles, or whether you're seeing these battles showcase themselves in your co-workers around you. You might have those two co-workers that don't get along, and as you're facing this battle within yourself, you look outward and you see that the battle between them is getting very heated, right? And one of the things I would even test you on, see, these are ways we can begin to cultivate and develop this understanding of this symbolism that the divine puts forth, and how it tries to show us and to get us to understand and realize, is I guarantee you, once you start to quell and solve that battle within yourself, you're going to notice the battle between those two co-workers starts to dwindle down too. So we see... And
more likely, but that battle is probably between you and the coworker. And that coworker is probably being bitchy to you and you don't understand why, but inside your mind, you're really upset about something else you're thinking about, and you're really fucking agitated about something else you're thinking about, going, why is Tiffany being a bitch to me? I didn't fucking do anything to her. And it's because, as within, so without, Tiffany can feel, whether she knows it or not, your internal battle. So she's coming to attack because you have attack energy inside you, as within, so without.
Absolutely, absolutely. So this is one of the ways you can start to see and begin to understand and actualize this within yourself. Because, one of the things we've talked about is how this new reality that we're entering, that we're cultivating, excuse me, that we are building within ourselves is going to come forth through the understanding of a new perspective. And so this is the way that you can begin to start to actualize this new perspective within yourself, is through the law of correspondence and understanding it on a deeper level within yourself. So we have as within, so without. So next we have is as the universe, so the soul. But one of the things I want to touch back on before we hit that, Diana, and I know you're going to love this too. So we have as above, so below. One of the things Diana and I were talking about the other night was how when we need to stop looking at ourselves strictly as a soul. Okay, and I'm not saying the soul isn't a thing, and you guys have heard me bring this up a couple of times too, on how I've said that we are emanations of these immortal spiritual beings here in this world. So you remember what I said, how the physical realm is a shadow of the spiritual realm. So we are ourselves, these emanations are shadows of these higher spiritual immortal beings. So I'm not saying that the soul isn't a thing. The soul could have some kind of concept.
We do have a soul. It's the monadic structure.
Exactly.
But like it emanates down and deeper than just us. It's not it to us. It's it to this immortal being. Before it's even us, like we stream down and down and down in perception. Just like us playing a video game, we are streaming down. That's us streaming down. Well, guess what? We're video game characters for other things streaming down that are lower than the soul, and we still have a higher soul. So it's like our soul is not the top like, it's not the next level of the top. Our soul is much wider, much bigger, where when there's so many more layers we can work with and address in between us and the soul.
Exactly. So this is something too I feel that could benefit us as we continue forth into this current new age that we are in, with all of this new spiritual remembrance that's taking hold. Because, you know, one of the things I say, you know, you get to a point in your conscious evolution where what you're experiencing and what you're feeling is no longer found in any of the books. You know, we start to move past that. And that's how you know you're on the right track.
And you start to see what channelers were talking about, but maybe you see it in your own language. Because that's what I love about the Kybalion. It writes it, but it makes it very clear. I'm going to give you numbers for the planes, but it doesn't matter. The numbers don't matter. The titles don't matter. The words don't even matter. We're trying to convey concepts to you, and the words they're spoken in do not matter. All that matters is that you hear and that you see and perceive the accurate conception we're trying to relay to you, and the numbers don't matter. So every channeler with their own system, every single number system you've ever seen, it does not matter. And your own perception of what you see, that's actually what matters most. That's what you want to think about most.
Absolutely, absolutely. So that's just something I wanted to throw in real quick, you know, before we move into as the universe, so the soul. So that actually gets into the anthropic principle, doesn't it, Diana? Why don't you take us off on that real quick?
Well, big time. And the anthropic principle can really scare you. And if you're really interested, I started the audiobook but haven't finished it, but I'm almost done, and I got pretty much the entire point you need to know down. And that's the Physics of Consciousness by Ivan Antic, who's mysteriously like a not out there figure, like written by God books or suspiciously written, but they will alter your entire perspective of how you see reality. They take you deeper than everything's taken you before. And that's the God particle and the understanding that there is no time and space. And this is how you really can get that through to you, is with that book, because it will just repeat in a million different ways, though, which is exactly the best way to learn. If someone can tell you something from 20 different angles, the same thing, but can explain it to you over and over and over again in different language, they truly and deeply understand what they're saying. They completely understand what they're saying. So the depth of understanding through these books, that's just the first book. The book will go on to explain to you everything in the universe through this understanding. And that is that, yes, the all is mind. Yes, we are all God. The divine particle that prints us all is working all at once. Everything is all within the same sphere of time and space, which is no time and space. It's infinite. It's like on pause. Imagine we are a stop motion picture. That's the easiest way to put it, because to God, it freezes time forever and creates us. And the way we perceive it is in this accurate timing. But do you realize God could freeze us for what would seem to us millions of years while it thinks about what's it going to do next? Or while it changes things? Like, we can freeze and be put on pause for millions of years and be brought back in. Like, this is how these things work. This is how we can lose perspective and close down worlds. When you understand the depth of the all is mind and the God particle, you would understand this is why you are the only God there ever is, while you hold the perspective of God, while you hold the realization and eyeballs of God, because God freezes time. So it doesn't matter if Steve beside me is doing it at the same time. I'm the only one doing it right now in my now, and he's the only one doing it right now in his now, because that's how complicated God can get. God is beyond. You
did it very well. You explained it very well. You did good. Yeah. No, continue.
Oh, okay. Well, I was going to say God is beyond your complete comprehension, yet it can actually be explained. You just need to allow the cognitive dissonance when you hear this material and just flood yourself in it. Like the book, The Physics of Consciousness, I've read multiple times. Not to mention reading it out loud for everyone did a whole nother layer of getting it through, because it doesn't have an audiobook, and I feel like things should have an audiobook, because when you listen to something and you read something, you allow it into yourself deeper and deeper, and being able to discuss it. This is why you need spiritual friends. You need to be able to discuss it with each other. So not argue. It's okay to have different points of view. Don't let people spin your points of view unless it feels true in your gnosis.
Agreed.
In your inner gnosis. But you need to start experimenting with how you want to perceive reality.
Absolutely. So what Diana's laying down here is, like, we are all a subjective focal point of God. And we've come to understand this.
If you choose to be.
Yes, if we choose to be.
You don't have to be.
Yeah.
You can stay an NPC if you want.
If we choose to be a creator in creation instead of a byproduct of creation.
Yes.
That is when we understand
That's how you step out of determinism into destiny, into dharma.
Absolutely, absolutely, is through that realization and the actualization of that realization. And because there is no space and time, as Diana's saying, imagine that we are all the divine experiencing itself on a simultaneous level. And because, well, yes, it might be like Diana's saying, well, I'm experiencing this now, it is only me doing it. And she's experiencing this now, it's only her doing it. In a sense, it is simultaneous because space and time do not exist.
Yet at the same time, it's a beautiful, beyond Mozart symphony that we all make together.
Oh, so imagine, yeah, exactly. It's all of us are the waves and the ripples in the sea of consciousness, and the wave itself is an aspect.
And it is music. If they can listen to the universe, it is music.
So this is what it means that as the universe, so the soul, guys. And even though we just kind of threw in that aspect of how we are emanations of these higher immortal spiritual beings, the soul still has that place. And it still is an aspect of our subjective focal point of the divine. So one of the biggest things about the law of correspondence that, at least in my eyes, that can truly help us evolve is when we start to realize and actualize and understand it at a deeper level. Now, one of the things I will say, and I've always said this, what helps me understand might not help you understand. But within yourself, there is a key, there is a gate to that understanding. And I do think, because we were actually listening to a little bit of the audiobook before we started this show, just to kind of give ourselves a refresher, they talked about he who has the key, when he touches the temple, all of the doors will fly in. Mm-hmm. And that key is your understanding.
And he means the Kybalion.
Yes, the Kybalion. Yes, the key is your understanding. Okay, and that's why I've even called it understanding. And I've caught a little bit of crap for that because they're like, oh, you're going with the new mumbo jumbo and whatever. A lot of people, in our community say, remember guys, a lot of people in our community are still very elitist. Don't let them drag you down.
They're brand new to it.
Yeah.
They all want to call themselves experts, except when did you wake up? Did COVID wake you up, or did you wake up before? And there's no shame or blame in either. But some people have been doing it for 20 years. And some people have just started, and good for them, that's great, and we're all waking up and the energy is available to all of us. But just like any student, how long have you been learning? Like, how long?
Dude, I'll tell you this, and this is one of the things, and I've said this, and I never say this in an egotistical concept. I say this so people understand that you are always a student, all right?
Yes,
I woke up in 2008.
If you're still a human, you're still a student.
Exactly, guys. I woke up in 2008, guys. I've been at this now for about, 18 years almost at this point that I've been looking at this information. And one of the biggest things I will say to all of you is I still have more questions now and realize I don't know shit.
Because the more you learn, the more you want to. The more you learn, the more you want to learn. Because you just keep learning. Because the universe is so beyond humongous outside of us. Existence goes beyond the universe. There's so much to learn. It's infinite.
Exactly, guys. And I still don't know everything. After 18 years of doing this, guys, and I don't box myself.
A full cup doesn't learn.
Exactly, a full cup doesn't learn. Okay, and I don't box myself in with narratives. And actually, one of the biggest things, and this is why I have my good friend, and Chris Matthew, Forbidden Knowledge News, my good friend, man, he says it the perfect way. And I know you guys know Don too, and he agrees with when I say this. Chris says, this is my current understanding of what we're dealing with at this point in time. And I think that is the perspective a lot of you should take too. Do not box yourself in.
This is how I see it right now. Agreed. Because otherwise you always want to be growing, dudes. You have infinite ability to expand your capacity for information. It's absolutely infinite, especially if you're on the spectrum. What's that mean? You're a fucking genius.
Exactly. And one of the things you will come to find in your spiritual evolution, and this actually in my eyes has a lot to do with the law of correspondence, is a lot of times as your perspective shifts and as you grow and you evolve consciously, you will be brought back to previous information that you have looked over. The divine, your higher self, will bring you back, and you'll be like, why am I looking at this again? I already read this before, but here's the thing, you have a new perspective now.
Yeah, they say we heal in spirals, we learn in spirals as well, which is what Stephen's saying.
Absolutely, absolutely. So you'll be brought back to this information you already looked through. Like, we're being brought back to the Kybalion.
I've read it a billion times. I know I've said Course in Miracles could be the Bible, but my Bible is the Kybalion, hands down.
She's got a couple Bibles.
I got a couple, yeah.
She's got a couple of Bibles, but no, this is what I mean. So what happens is, because you've evolved further and you have a new perspective, you can look at this information again and get more from it. As we talk about, there's layers, guys. Everything is layers when it comes to our conscious evolution. And that's why when somebody comes up to me and asks me, I was on a show, The Unexplained Inc. with Phil Warder. Phil, if you're ever listening to this, a shout out. He asked me in an interview that I was on, he goes like, do you think Earth is a prison planet? And I'm like, well, that's one of the layers of Earth, yes.
Do you keep yourself shackled under your own created mind parameters? Whether someone else gave it to you or not, you still allowed it to be downloaded. And I understand your childhood and parental stuff is the hardest stuff to get over, but you can get over it 1,000%.
Actually, too, and this kind of even now that you said this, so you have to think. So she just said shackled by the mind. Here's one way we can get you to understand the law of correspondence a little better, and she just said it. So she was talking about how, the shackles of your mind, okay? Well, you look at how the divine likes to manifest. We have our metaphysical anatomy that also has a metaphorical manifestation into our world, and the spiritual allegories, right? So she was saying that. So the prison planet, well, yes, can manifest outward into the loosh farm that we think it is. It also
even if you're not a prisoner, by the way, they will loosh farm you every time you stub a fucking toe. So you still could be part of the loosh farming, regardless of not being in a prison.
Those damn stub toes. But yeah, those damn
we still eat the cows, so we can't judge.
Exactly. But at the same time, too, like, look at the spiritual aspect of the prison planet. If the all is mind, everything around you is you. You are the one with the shackles that are.
Okay. If someone showed up at your house, like Dubby, and was like, I want to be your slave. I don't need much. I just want to live here and have you take care of me, and then I'll do whatever you say. That's how I want to be. That's how humans show up on Earth. And Satan's just like, all right, fucking sure, do this, that, and the other, and I'll take care of you. And that's exactly what fucking happens. Satan actually does take care of us if you adhere to his monadic structure that he's created in his matrix, which is mostly the false matrix, is that Ahrimanic satanic matrix. So yeah, Daddy Satan takes care of us just fucking well in that thing if you listen and abide by his rules. Just like we would do. Think about it. Dubby showed up at our door. That's because I'm not even saying Ahriman Satan is technically evil. But he's just the part and parcel of what he does. That's just his function in this reality. If Dubby showed up at our house and said, please let me be your slave, I want to take care of you, I have magical powers, and I will take care of you as long as you let me live here, and you sort of basically don't really have to do much to take care of me.
Oh my goodness.
We would take Dubby. You would take Dubby and say, of course, come into my house and be my slave, I love you.
I just had a new rabbit hole kind of form in my mind. It's not too off topic, but it's kind of what I understand. We'll get back to the original topic. So, it's funny because every time I think of Satan, I have a little bit of a laugh. And the reason why I have a little bit of a laugh is because of South Park and the way they depict Satan. Especially right now with the demon butt baby from Donald Trump.
And how they show the real evil people are the humans. That's true. That is true.
So what if this is almost a higher attempt at getting us to laugh at Satan so we can release that control that he has on us? Because ultimately that's up to us, all right? We are responsible for a lot of what's happening to us at this point in time. And this is one of the hardest pills for a lot to swallow when it comes to our community, that we are responsible for what's 100%. Happening to us.
If you are over the age of 21, guess what? You're responsible. Even if you're before 25 and your brain's not done growing, or if you're autistic and you're not 35 and your brain's not done growing, too bad, so sad, you're still responsible.
Absolutely. So this is the thing. So there's a documentary that I want to recommend all of you watch, especially if this is a hard pill for you to swallow, that we, humanity, are responsible for every last thing that is happening to us at this point in time. It is called Kymatica. It's an older documentary. It came out in the late 2000s, and of course I had to correct me, so I'll say around 2009 to 2010.
You want to say late 2000s, like you could say that. No, that hasn't happened yet.
she thinks I'm talking about the year 2090, and yeah, that hasn't happened yet. But we'll say
or 2999.
Yeah, or something like that. Yeah, something like that. But no, Kymatica. The whole premise of this documentary, Kymatica, is that while yes, the parasite class takes advantage of our ignorance, of our consumerism and all of that, we are solely responsible for allowing it to happen to us.
Yeah.
And so this is something that I recommend a lot of you check out, just based on this too. We kind of just dived off into a little bit of a tangent.
No, because like, did you watch Honey Boo Boo? Did you ever watch Honey Boo Boo? You directly contributed to the sex trade of children. Because that's how this stuff works. This is how you get them to give you, this is how they get you to give them permission. And I mean the humans. I mean Hillary Clinton. I mean probably Donald Trump. He's part of their crew. Don't forget he was one of their friends. Just because they didn't want him to be president because he wasn't doing what they wanted him to do, doesn't mean he's not in the club.
He's a better Kabbalist than me.
Yeah.
I am the best. I am the best at everything. But yeah, no, sorry.
Yes, thank you, Enlightened Trump, for showing up. Because agreed, Trump does know his stuff. He's a master Kabbalist, but a lot of them probably are. Trump's just probably better. And he went off their narrative slightly, which probably helped us, but he's still one of the evil ones. And are they even sick and want children in that way? Not necessarily. Don't you realize they're doing it for magic? What's his name? Damien Eccles? Do you know why he went to jail? For child sacrifice. Do you actually think he did it? I'm not going to say, because he's a fucking witch. But people do that kind of stuff for power. They aren't even necessarily the sickos. They'll use sickos. They get sickos in Hollywood and they'll blackmail them and use them to their purposes. But the truest ones doing it at their toppest degree are doing it for magic. They're using that to influence society through magic, and then they run shows like Honey Boo Boo to get you to agree with it, to get you to sign on to be part of the magic.
You know, in my timeline, I got rid of all the child trafficking. But all right, Trump.
If he did, then he gets my approval. He gets my approval.
But nonetheless, exactly, guys. So this is one of the things too. You know, when understanding the law, this actually even ties into the law of correspondence.
Yeah, exactly.
Funny enough, comes full circle into this, that you are responsible for everything that is happening to you, and our collective consciousness and our collective humanity is responsible too. They just, through ignorance and being asleep, have not understood this yet, and they still, a lot of our collective still holds the victim mentality of, oh my God, like
they have all the power and I have none. There's the 1%. Why do you think they keep saying that? 1%, 99. Again, they're telling us this is a free will universe. They have to tell us what's happening. They have to, so that they can still say they gave us free choice. Guess what? They didn't give us enough free choice. That's why in 1987, the grand convergence happened and all of our large capacity of star seeds came down. That's because they got greedy on, think about the brainwashing they were doing in the 70s. Do you think God didn't see that? When the TV was straight up running brainwashing stuff. And guess what? You were all told at the time, and the TV was just like, oh my bad, we'll stop, and everyone was like, okay, cool, and they left it at that. Records being played backwards and be proven to be satanic, that was fucking proven. That's not conspiracy. In the 70s as well. And again, we're like, oh well, let's just keep it going, that's fine. Well, God's like, guess what, that's not fine. So the Great Convergence happened in 1987, and now there's a whopping amount of starseeds and autistics, because they landed in a frequency that wasn't suited for us, but we had to come, and this is why we're bitter, because we didn't want to be here, and it didn't have to be like this, but a bunch of humans were selfish and greedy, and another larger, much, much larger bunch were also selfish and greedy, but this bunch was lazy.
Absolutely. So this is tying into the law of correspondence again, guys. Yeah, we are responsible for all.
Because how the world plays out is up to us. Do you want to take a conscious part and stop the bad guys? Then do it. And that goes on your content. Did you watch, what's the movie? The Freedom movie where the guy goes and saves the kids? That's a true story.
Sound of Freedom.
Sound of Freedom. He's an actual Homeland Security man that quit his fucking job to go save a ton of kids. And he didn't just do that one thing that's in the story. They copied that method until it wore off. They copied that method until they got wise. And they got tons and tons of them. And they could think of new methods like this, and they tried to stop the movie, left, right, and center, people. They tried to stop the movie. You should have seen it as an act of defiance and of an act of God to go see that movie as soon as you could.
Absolutely, and I know there were people, and I'm going to touch on that real quick since we've dove into that territory. There's a lot of people.
The things you can do are simple.
There was a lot of people who were were dramatically upset about how the way the movie was portrayed, on how they feel that they didn't say the whole entire truth. But here's the thing, they did it in that way for a very good reason.
They were trying to stop them as much as possible.
Well, this is the one thing you have to understand what we're dealing with here, guys, and this is why. You know, I know a lot of you are out there are like, you know, why don't we just get the entire truth? I can handle it.
You've already been told the truth. You just weren't listening. Mel Gibson has been telling the truth for a very long time. Did you listen?
Well, here's the thing I want to add to that, though, is I've said this before on this show, especially that
Jim Carrey has been telling
whoever or whatever's hands this is all in, and I have my idea, but I'll leave that open for you guys to decide. Whoever or whatever's hands this is all in.
It's humans.
Has
nope, more powerful than you.
The whole collective of humanity in mind. Not just people like me and Diana.
The higher people. There is higher people helping everyone.
Yes. So they have the whole collective of humanity in mind. Not just people like me and Diana.
They want to save the bad guys too, that means. They want to save the bad guys too. And we do. Our souls want to save the bad guys too. We don't want them to die and suffer, believe it or not. And you're kidding yourself if you think otherwise. You have to just fucking forgive them.
Exactly.
You have to see what they're doing and forgive them.
Exactly. So, but see, this is why the Sound of Freedom was done the way it is.
Tell them to stop it.
You tell everybody in America that every facet of Americana that they have grown to know and love is interwoven and laden with child trafficking, pedophilia.
Steven's seen it in live action.
Okay, and I've seen it in live action.
When he was in Washington.
And
He's told you all before.
I'll go through the story quickly again, but I'm just telling people this is why the Sound of Freedom was done the way it was, because if you told every American in a hard truth bomb that everything about America they've come to grow and love is interwoven with child trafficking and pedophilia, you would be dealing with a country of stark raving lunatics, and no sane person is going to welcome that scenario. Whoever or whatever's hands this is all in wants a soft landing to the other side.
It stops the earthquakes. That's another reason that slows down the earthquakes. Our own brains and cognitive dissonance going can create earthquakes.
Absolutely. So I'll get into the story a little bit of what I saw. So this was very early in my awakening, okay, guys? Remember, I woke up back in 2008. This was around 2012 that this happened to me. I grew up in the D.C. area, for a lot of you who know, and let me tell you, a lot of it's true, okay? For anybody who wants to say, oh, this is a conspiracy, and hasn't lived and been in D.C., well, I got some bad news for you. It's fucking true. But I was working at an electrical company at the time. As you guys know, I'm an electrician, and we were doing property management stuff for shopping centers, and we were fixing pole lights in shopping centers. But there was a place called Spa World. We called it the Rub and Tug Depot. Where I was working was 15 minutes from Great Falls, Virginia, where all the politicians lived, and they would come and visit this Spa World. And then I remember one day I saw the county police SWAT team roll up and raid this place, and they pulled out all of these emaciated young children. I watched this with my own eyes.
And he saw politicians get dropped off in limousines and stuff sometimes, right?
Yes.
Knowing they were important people with security details and everything, top level people going to this place. He saw fucking children get pulled out of there.
Absolutely.
Like, hello, real life anecdotal fucking evidence. The exact same story he's seen years and repeating. Like, this is not made up. This is the realest problem in the world. It's the entire reason there's a toxic soup of psychology inside all of our minds, because they flood our entire collective consciousness with this puke. Like, a lot of us are like, oh God, why do I have sick thoughts? Like, we have to fight it off schizophrenically. And like, all of us have this play through our minds in these moments where we're just like, get out of there, because we're normal people. And that is how it is. But why is this flying around in the soup of the thoughts? Why? Because it's being pumped in there with real live action activity and TV programming to amp you up on the thoughts.
Exactly.
They want you participating, is what I mean.
So this is where we understand that our fate and our destiny is ultimately in our
They're
own
not
hands.
the bad guys if you're one of their minions and you don't realize it. They don't need you to consciously agree with them to agree with them. This is what being a master magician means. You can use it for ill or good, and they know it, and they're using it for bad.
And this is where I think why we should definitely dive into on our next episode, Diana, revelation of the method and karmic retribution. I think those are the two things we we should dive into, so we can give people an understanding.
Because revelation of the method is how they manufacture as within, so without, because they are using our all is mind power to use our thoughts to orchestrate and print out a reality that they choose, that they want.
Exactly, and karmic retribution being kind of like the...
Because revelation of the method is part and parcel with this topic.
So exactly, because revelation of the method is like the clean, ergonomic way of doing it, and then karmic retribution is like the dirty
That's when watching Honey Boo Boo
side-handed way
exactly.
of doing it.
They get us to pay the karma for their bad deeds. This is why they want us to know about it, because then we become one of the bad guys, and they get to share the load of the bad guy-ry over millions and billions of people, right? So instead of them getting crazy karma, they share it, and you get like a little taste. You get a little taste because it's divided over millions or billions.
Exactly. So as we approach our destination, one of the things I'm going to leave you with, guys, is do some work on the law of correspondence. I do think that, yes, well, all of the Hermetic laws are very important.
Just see it in everything. Just look around. Just see it in everything.
And you are able to
see a higher concept and see a lower concept in everything you're seeing. Strip it to its symbolic bones. Thank you.
No worries, guys. All right, well, other than that, we are at our destination. I would love to thank you for joining us for another episode of Esoteric Caravan. If you like what you heard today, give us a like and a subscribe.
And check us out tomorrow. We'll be on Dawn's show, March 4th production.
Absolutely.
On YouTube.
Yep, the After Dark show with Mr. Don Rogers. I look forward to sitting down with him. And
we're going to be talking Carl Jung and the red stage of alchemy. Roberto?
Okay.
Roberto.
Awesome. Well, alrighty, guys. Have a good one. Take care, and may the source be with you.
Ooh, I love that. May the source be with you all. Bye.
Hi, this is Steven from BGcast.
And this is Diana from Transcending Ascension.
And this is Esoteric Caravan. Whoa.
Okay, you can't do it when you back up. I think that's what it is. You're too distracted by backing up.
Okay, all right.
That's I think what it must have been.
Okay, all right.
You're too. You gotta. Yeah.
All right, we start.
You have a backup voice, I guess.
All right.
That was. It's the same thing.
All right, restart.